they had their seamstresses doing all their sewing for them, and they used to make, well, they still do, sports jackets and suits and all sorts. But Daddy went to them to have loom. Can I get work? He went anyway, and what they did is they put him to work with a weaver, and the weaver would have taught him how to weave. And they would come, they would deliver this beam with the thread all on it, and then they would set you up. So literally, you were a workhorse. You know, you sat up and you wove what they told you. You know, and it would have been, and you got paid by the yard. And they had wee vans, and they used to drive around the county, and they would deliver the beams, pick up the cloth, and you know that would happen weekly. And that was going on. That went on right up until the mid 1980s. So it's not in the distant past now.
Right.
And but Dad, when he married Mum, then he came down here with loom, and he had the loom set up down where the old house was. It loom sitting down there, so he would have woven then for a period of time. Now it's a white warp, but you could have multiple colours here. But basically, what I'm doing is I'm picking these threads like that. It's kind of like.
When you play that game.
Like a
cat's cradle.
Cat's cradle, yes.
Like that. And then I turn it and I put them onto those two pegs here, and I still have a crisscross in my hand on this side.
And you do
in
that.
my palm.
You do that why?
And that is, one thread is going that way and one thread is going that way. And what that will do is it keeps them in the correct order when I go to thread them in on the loom. And what I end up with is a braid like this. Okay? So now then I take this, and this is where I go to get it onto the loom here. And I take my warp and I throw it up over here. I open it out now, and attached to this beam here, there's a dowel in here.
Oh, okay.
So I take my threads, and where I did the little crisscrosses at the bottom, I run the dowel through the threads there. They've done a return, so there's a loop. You don't have to tie every single one
Right.
on.
Okay.
And I spread them out. And I spread them out then evenly using this very dangerous looking piece of board.
Wow. Nails and a board.
Nails and a board. It's as sophisticated as that. And they're all an inch apart, and that's all. That's all it needed to do. It's only a requirement. And it's just to keep the threads all spread out. So if you imagine this is opened, and then the number of threads per inch ultimately in that cloth are between here. So where I gathered them in little bunches. So it's easy enough to keep them all separated. So this is opened, threads are all spread out, and they're attached to a dowel. That cord is running along like that, keeping all those threads sitting, ready for me to catch, to thread through here, in the right order. Does that make sense? So you've got, so to support the threads, to have them at my hand's reach, I'll have two timbers, the timbers that previously held my raddle, they're sitting here. I'll run the two dowels along here, follow the two cords, so that they'll be going in between every thread, so it leaves the threads nice and easily accessible for me. So I'm standing here then at this point, and what I'm now doing is I'm starting to dress the loom. You want to be able to separate them, to add at a right angle to that your weft thread. That's what you're trying to do. That's what you're doing. So you want to be able to get these threads to move apart. My first thread is threaded through there in a heddle on frame number 3. The next one's threaded through frame number 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So you're basically sitting here and you're threading one thread at a time through one of these on one of these 4 frames, and you're threading them through in a particular sequence.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So it's here. So this is the sleigh, and then this is the reed. And I've got a whole bunch of these guys. And frame is attached to a shaft coming that way. And the shafts then in turn are tied to my pedals.
Okay.
And that's what's going to move these. So when I press a pedal, the pedal is pulling down whatever combination of shafts.
Right.
And then the other two shoot up, and it's creating a space in here. And that is where your weft thread is going, is through that space. So every thread, every pedal is separate, is lifting and dropping a different combination of these. So, and then the last element is of your pattern is the sequence that you press those pedals in. So that's all those 3 elements come together to give you your patterns. Each stroke of that
So you
pattern.
memorized your pattern before you ever started?
Oh yeah,
and you-
yeah. You need to start to know it off by heart and exactly what it looks like. So I'm constantly checking with my eye. So our shuttles now are a wee bit bigger because the way we deliver the shuttle is a little bit different. So your shuttle has the bobbin in it, and the bobbin is the thread that's going across the way. Okay. So that's where that's coming from. So the bobbin sits in the shuttle, and the thread feeds out through the side of a wee hole there in the bobbin. And on a lot of looms, table looms and floor looms that people use, you always would have put that shuttle, you would separate your threads. Some of these, it could be by hand, you'd lift them with a hand with this, we use pedals, and then you would push your shuttle by hand. Okay. And then you would leave the thread behind, you would beat that into place, you would change them again, and you'd have to push the shuttle through again. And that's very stop-start. And it's the way I get this across. So the way I get this shuttle across, this is my sleigh, as I say, it's got a few different purposes. And the sleigh carries the shuttle, but I throw the shuttle using this handle. And the handle, if you follow the cords, is hanging above me. And then on the two sides, it's attached to, this is called a picker. And the picker hits the shuttle when I pull the handle, it sends it flying across, and then this piece of timber here acts as a spring, and it pulls that picker into place again. Wow. And then the same happens on the other side. And that's what made the looms a wee bit special here. And it meant that you could weave at a faster rate, at a production level, that meant that you could do it commercially, you know, but you were still producing hand-woven cloth. So I'll stop speaking and start. Throw my shuttle across, okay? I've left the thread behind. With my left hand I beat it into place. I change my pedal. Okay, so that's what's happening.
Wow, that's go
Getting them.